absolutely delighted to present to the audience Dr. Gyanabroto Bhattacharya. Dr. Bhattacharya has written a fabulous book. It's a memoir. It's called In Search of Sherpur and Immigrants Memoir. And this is really a heartwarming tale of a person who has been looking for Sherpur, his boyhood home, all his life. He's lived in 3 continents. He left Sherpur, but Sherpur never left him. That's how I have read the book. So we are very fortunate to have Dr. Bhattacharya with us and the BCP team. Thanks, Dr. Bhattacharya, for writing this wonderful memoir. And I will ask Dr. Bhattacharya a few questions about the book and his overall life experience that has been captured so marvelously in this book, In Search of Sherpur. So Dr. Bhattacharya, welcome.
Thank you.
I would like to kind of start off with the political event that precipitated the crisis which led to your loss of home, and I'm referring to the partition of India, 1947. It was a cataclysmic event. India became independent, but India also got broken up. Millions of people on either side, they lost their homes. There was a refugee outflow going in both directions, and it was a very, very traumatic event for millions who lost their homes. The first thought that came to my mind was, this event happened and your family got caught up in it. Did you not have any inkling about what was about to come? This was, of course, politically a very charged time, definitely. But for families who were living in small towns, small villages across Bengal, did it come as a completely total surprise, and then they had to just wrap up and leave everything behind and literally flee for their lives?
For my family, there was a lot of denial. Mm-hmm. Baba didn't believe that Bengal could ever be partitioned or that India could ever be partitioned, because Bharatvarsha is one, mm-hmm. and we have lived like that for many years. Yes, there's tension between Hindus and Muslims, but that's all right. That doesn't mm-hmm. Justify partition. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of denial. For us, and although we should have known, my brothers and cousins were politically involved, they should have known better, but I don't think they did. Communist Party was opposed to the partition, and so by 1946 it became clear to us meaning to my elders, that something is going to happen. After the riot in Kolkata in 1946, there was a traumatic event. Thousands of people were killed in the Hindu-Muslim riot. That precipitated some anxiety. In our family's case, there is another complicating factor. We had no place to go. Dada and Bezda were politically working. They had no income. They had we had no foothold in what became India. So where do you go? I mean, in Sherpur we had property. We had, Baba had a very good practice. He was a pleader, we call it. We lived well, and to give up all these things is to look at total uncertainty in what do you do in Kolkata, Kothayave. So, so that led to denial, and then status quo, just hang in here, kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then we did not live in one, move. We left gradually.
Mm-hmm.
So but there is an old pattern, So we went to college in Kolkata. My Dada went to college in Kolkata. Mezda went to college in Kolkata, Sherpur University. At that time, engineering college. So we had a connection with Kolkata. Baba was a student in Kolkata when he studied law. So Kolkata had a connection with us for a long time. So 1950, first I and Didi went to Kolkata for a month, quote unquote, for a month. I was just promoted to class 9 and I bought my new books and everything. This is 1950. I was going there for Christmas, winter vacation for a month, then come back. And of course I didn't come back, to study. I stayed on in Kolkata, then went to Kolkata High School, South Suburban School, Maine, and then on to college and so on. But we would commute. I'd come to Sherpur anytime I could, Christmas vacation, summer vacation. And until 1952, there was no passport or visa requirement. You could hop on a train in Sealdah station and you could come to Sherpur. And even after 1952, when visa was introduced, passport visa, we could get passport and visa and come to East Pakistan and stay for 6 months at a time. So that was the pattern. Finally, my Baba died in 1954, November. And that was sort of the beginning of the end of Sherpur.
Yes.
Because Baba lived alone and we were all in Kolkata. And Ba's living alone in Sherpur was not a desirable situation, It's a largish house with a compound and all. And we had no real security. There's no gates or anything that could be locked. And there have been some murders in the neighborhood of widows living alone. So we forced Ba to come to Kolkata.
So I just, you write about so many members of your family, and I was particularly kind of very fascinated by your mother, because here she was managing a large household. She had six children, and then suddenly there is this profound event, and she was uprooted from her ancestral home. But while this process was going on, I realized, I remember reading in the book that she was a very resourceful person. She was, she had to kind of confront hard times, but she managed to find a source of livelihood.
Yes.
And she adjusted to the new circumstances by renting out a portion of her house.
Not renting out. No, that was not a rent. That was helping a family out.
Okay, helping a family out. Okay. So, so tell us a little bit about your mother, because women are kind of their roles are sometimes silent. It's overlooked, but they are the ones who are driving the whole process forward.
Absolutely. My mother, Baba was he was a pleader, but he really had no interest in worldly affairs. He earned the money and gave the money to Ma, and that was the end of it. The rest of the management was done by Ma. And she not only had 6 children of her own, we had a lot of dependents who came to Sherpur and stayed with us, like my cousins, and so on. And then sometimes we hosted 5 or 6 students who came from the village and stayed in our house and went to school there. That was a standard thing to do. And she managed all that by herself. were quite a few servants.
Mm-hmm.
And when they would get ill or something, they would get a fever, my mother would go and take care of them, physically, touching them, you know, feeding them, you know, making sure they bathed and all that.
Right.
And she did that all. And we had farmland, right? We got a lot of rice and dal and other stuff, kind of things. That had to be processed, they had to be husked or dried and stored. She did that all. And she was very strong that way. I mean, heart was the voice. Baba was the place of last resort. You know, whatever he said was, of course, immediately done.
Right.
But but normally he would not interfere in the family events at all. So my mother did. And after her father died, and there was the cash income, that my father's income was completely stopped. So the only income was from selling our surplus rice, you know, dhan, the rice paddy, which gave a fairly substantial income. Then we began losing land because Baba had to sell some land to finance our stay in Kolkata.
I see.
So 3 of us were going to college at the
Right.
same time.
Right.
We rented a house in Thakuria, rented a flat really. All that expenses had to be paid from remittance from Sherpur,
Right.
and which initially was very expensive by the way. There was
Right.
50% discount.
Right.
You sent 100 Pakistani rupees, you got 50 in Kolkata, in India.
Okay. And she was managing all of this.
She was managing all of that. So after Baba's death, the income was from selling rice,
Okay.
you know, the dhan.
Right.
You know, people would come to the house and work.
Right.
Then as I was saying, that some of the farmland had to be sold to finance our stay in Kolkata. So that income gradually declined. And then Baba died, of course, and then she got no support from her children.
Okay.
Nothing, not a penny.
Okay.
She started doing this shupari business. You know, she planted all these
Right.
erica nuts,
Yes.
and that had a high demand.
You
and
mentioned
everything.
that in the book. Yeah.
And that's how she supported herself.
Supported herself and
Yeah.
helped the family.
That she didn't have to send any money to us,
Okay.
but she took care of herself.
Okay. That is simply an amazing story.
Right, and yeah.
I would like you to read an excerpt from your book, and so the passage that you will be reading describes the state of your family as things were disintegrating, as it was becoming clearer that Sherpur, as your family knew it, was not going to exist anymore. So you've written about that period very beautifully in the book. So if you could just read a little excerpt, that would be wonderful.
So you did this. You want me to read this? Yeah.
Yes. Read this. But the part where you write about the omens.
Yeah, there are omens everywhere if you only knew how to read them. A vulture had taken to perching on the roof. It came in the afternoon and scanned the courtyard. Excuse me. Every night, Shashan Koli would sit on the mango tree by our bedroom. Nobody had seen it, but we all knew it was a creature of the cremation cart. The cuckoo of the cremation cart. It emitted this blood-chilling single cuckoo-like note at long intervals, redolent of the smell and meaning of cremation. I cling to Ma, desperate wishing for the night to be over. Then Kusum Ma was found dead by the pond at the back of the house, where she had gone to wash the post-lunch pots and pans. It was the first death in the house. You want me to go on, shall I?
Just the next sentence, that's it.
Then disaster struck. Shall I stop there?
Yes, you could stop there. Yeah. So in the book, though, I mean, you are writing about sad events, but this book is not simply about sad events. In this book, you write about very interesting and colorful personalities uh, who were interacting with your family all the time. And for me personally, the way you portray these characters has been really a very kind of a heartwarming experience for me, because you know you portray them in a kind of such a wonderful humane light, and they are ordinary people, quote unquote ordinary people, but each of them is a unique personality. So let me kind of, if I remember correctly, you talk about your mathematics teacher, Harsha Babu, who taught you mathematics. You talked about Pratap Babu, who was the
bicycle repairman.
But the bicycle repairman. You talk about the Daroga, Ramesh Babu. You talk about the Shunanand, the Muchi, the cobbler.
Right.
Okay, and those characters bring this book alive for me. And each of them is so unique. Then also Chanada, who was he was a kind of a flamboyant personality in your community. So why do you remember each of these personalities so much? I mean, they are absolutely unique individuals.
Why do I remember is a difficult question to answer. I remember everything from Sherpur. We had I really had a very wonderful childhood. In the morning, you wake up about 4:30 before the sun up. We go out and pick flowers, hang around with your friends. That's from the age of 5. You do that. So it's kind of joyous. I mean, we come home and then you play. School started at 10 or 10:30 in the morning. So plenty of time to do your homework and still play for a while, or go swimming in the pond and then come back. There's never a dull moment. I mean, after school we went to play, and we played at home. We went raiding for fruits in various people's gardens, including our own. We played, so they all become embedded in your mind. It was not a stressful life at all. I see children these days, they're always stressed out. I didn't have any notion of any stress at that time. Then I would do the Saraswati Puja with
Ogniban Club.
Ogniban Club, that was very important part of our life. And these people played, some of them, not Shivnandan and all that, but our Rangada's friends, and they're a very, very important part of my life. And Pratap Babu, Shivnandan, they're much older, and they're neighbors.
There is a saying that it takes a village to raise a child, and your days in Sherpur kind of it epitomizes that concept, right? There was no boundary between us and them. I mean,
That's so true.
It was like one big family.
Right. In fact, I didn't mention it in the book. Shonada, my immediate elder brother, 2 years older than me, when we were sent to bathe in the pond with little boys, right? 2 years, 3 years old. Somebody took us there. Not always Baba or Ma never went there, or some servant would go. And after you are bathed in the pond, the children will get together and go to somebody's house. not necessarily come back to their own house. Shonada would go to, I didn't mention it, Priyoda's house next door. And Kakima there, she had a number of babies.
She would take care of him.
She will feed them and they'll all nap with her.
Okay.
In fact, she nursed him. I mean, this was not uncommon at all. They're babies, right? They're nursing at somebody's different moms. Shonada was nursed by her.
That is really fascinating.
Yeah.
That's absolutely.
And then nobody was anxious. Everybody knew they were somewhere. So he's 2-3 years old, then he would come back home.
Yeah. I mean, reading the book, okay, you talk a lot about the social norms of that time. And from what I gathered, you were living at a time when you were kind of caught by the cross currents of the times. In a certain sense, the community, the family was still traditional. They kind of adhered to caste norms, but at the same time, they were fervent communists. Communists, which basically talks about equality, and there was no kind of conflict apparently between the two, and they seamlessly kind of went from one side of the spectrum to the other side of the spectrum.
Yeah.
So could you talk a little bit about that?
See, the India is very funny. I was thinking of it last night. Kaurav is working on structural racism in this country, and Priyanka is reading about that structural racism. Indian racism has been normalized hundreds of years ago into the caste system. It has become part of the normal. It has been normalized. It's no longer, unless it's stoked up right now in, say, UP elections, caste-based politics and all that. It was not an issue, at least not public issue. I mean, untouchability was an issue. That was horrible, and Dr. Ambedkar, wrote the constitution, etc. But the normal caste system was never a political issue, but particularly in Bengal. Bengali caste system is very bizarre if you compare it to the South India, any South India, or even UP. I remember I was playing with my friends and I asked for a glass of water. The fellow, my mate, he gave me a glass of water. His mother came and lashed again because they were not Brahmin. And he was not supposed to give me water. I'm not supposed to drink. I was 5. And it is their problem, not mine.
That's right. That's right.
Because they would go to hell or
that's right. That's
for
right.
that kind of thing. But Mezda got in trouble. He also drank milk or water from a dhali. People who beat the drums on puja. He didn't know. I mean, so that was very serious, and he had to be purified with Panchagopo.
Okay.
So.
But then, but you also, you were reading Tagore. You were very well versed with Western authors. You knew Karl Marx.
Yes.
So everything was happening at the same time. So that part is also quite interesting to me.
Yeah, we read a lot. We had a library for several at home. We grew up with books and magazines and so on. We read a lot, and the norm to bring presents to us from Kolkata whenever people came, and they would bring us books. And I mentioned this as one of the most painful things about the partition and our leaving was the loss of our books. We had many first editions. The first one, the Bengali translation of the Mahabharata by Kali Prashanna Singho, big folio edition in very thick paper. I think we had 18 volumes of that. We lost that. We lost all my childhood books like Robinson Crusoe and all those things. Lost them all. So we grew up with books, yes. I mean, and there's no restriction on reading there except for some restrictions. Anything that is sex or romance in it would be restricted. So
that was the norm in those days. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. From a personal point of view, you of course felt the loss of Sherpur very keenly, and no matter where you lived after that, you moved from Sherpur to Kolkata, Kolkata to Delhi, Delhi to Belgium, Belgium to the United States. You always carried Sherpur in your heart, and in your book you write that you have a lot of griefs, and I'm also kind of struck by the fact that you went through so much of upheaval in your life, which has left an indelible impression on you. But there is no rancor in you, which I find very kind of very enlightening, because anybody who goes through this type of experience can end up bitter, but you are not bitter. Your humanity shines through, and that comes across so beautifully in this book. So I just wanted to kind of let you know. I wanted to kind of compliment you on that quality.
It's true. Thank you. I don't have rancor, or as you said, bitterness. Yeah.
So on that note, we conclude our session today. It was a delight speaking to you, and we wish you, on behalf of BCP, we wish you good health and keep writing.
Thank you very
so
much.
much.
Thank you. Namaskar.